All right, Tom. We got to help Robert Saleh. This is the game of the year. He's going against technically the number 2 offense in the league. The Seahawks are scoring 29 points per game somehow. Sam Darnold isn't exactly hot. I think over the last 8 games, he has 9 touchdowns and 9 picks. But they have Jackson Smith-Njigba, who could be the offensive player of the year. They have 2 good running backs. They got a tight end you got to account for. What does he got to do?
I would say number one is be disciplined on defense. I mean, if you're supposed to be the free safety deeper than the deepest, make sure you are deeper than the deepest. That did not happen last weekend, and Caleb Williams, bam, at 6 points. You know, when you got the Seattle weapons that they do offensively, especially at wide receiver, my goodness, respect them, do your job. Okay, if you're the middle third guy, don't get caught flat-footed at 12 or 15 yards. Get back with your pedal and get back to 20, 25. Be deeper than the deepest. Read the quarterback if you're playing free safety and you're freed up and you have no coverage. Be able to break on the ball. Be alert. If you're the contained defender, don't give up the outside arm. Shed your block correctly. It's a matter of just doing your job, being disciplined for that 4 to 6 seconds that it takes to execute a play. Be the best you can be. Be focused.
This offense is, they faced the Seahawks week 1, and it was Darnold's first game. It was Kubiak's first game. Jackson Smith-Njigba had 9 catches for about 130 yards. The Niners didn't do anything special to really cover him. They didn't put Diamond Lenore on him. He was in the slot a lot against Upton Stout. After this last game against the Bears, Diamond Lenore in the locker room asked what he thinks about this upcoming matchup and says, I want to travel and cover Jackson Smith-Njigba man-to-man. I want it. I'm ready. And then we asked Kyle this week, and he's like, yeah, it's not that simple. And then I asked Saleh yesterday, and he went in this whole dissertation, which was extremely eloquent on, it's easy for the guy traveling, but it's not easy for everyone else. I mean, now we got to move our nickel back, Upton Stout, out to cornerback, and he's got to cover the number 1 or play the deep third. And he's never repped those things, so it's difficult. How would you handle such a situation? Is it difficult? Is it what the Niners have to do?
The Niners cannot just play the same scheme that they've been trotting out there week after week. The thing about it is, this is why it begs you on defense to have quality cover people. Because zone is a reactionary scheme, okay? Whereas if I play man-to-man, and this is why, people used to laugh at us at the Raiders, and, I don't care who you trotted out against us as opposition, but, we could play the cat defense. I got this cat, you got that cat, Yeah. You got Mike Haynes, you got Lester Hayes, you got Monty Jackson, you got Woody Brown. Hey, you got to be able to cover people. And when push comes to shove, zone defense is a passive concept where you are conceding catches and then you're going to rally to make the tackle. And that doesn't work well. Somewhere along the line, Grant, in my mind, pass defense begins with denying a receiver the opportunity to get the ball or get a look from the quarterback as a primary or a secondary player. So therefore, if I cannot deny that receiver the opportunity, then I'm a reactionary player on defense. So then I'm grabbing my ankles and hoping for the best. Traveling does present an issue here or there. Of course, he's talking about Upton Stout not being able to play corner, outside third. The bottom line is, if I'm Seattle, I'm going to go all day against Stout in the slot. I don't care what you do. I tell you, I would have to lock him and play a 2-man shell over the top and have help deep and say, okay, Upton, you're going to play inside technique, bump and run on this guy. You're going to be 1 arm's length off his inside hip and trailing. You're going to undercut everything inside or outside because you got help over the top. Yep. So that's number 1. I'm going to play this kid in the slot. Because if I'm Seattle, I'm going to find the worst matchup I possibly can from the Niners secondary, and that is whomever the Niners have playing slot corner.
Yep.
In my 11 personnel grouping.
Said he wants to do it, which is interesting. It kind of puts the Niners in a tough spot. Like, he wants to do it. He's your best corner. You paid him. Are you really going to just waste him on the side of the field and let the Seahawks avoid him all day? Because they will.
Yeah, he's going to be out there covering grass, and he might as well just have him on the sideline with a soda pop and some sunflower seeds, because you're not going to throw the ball at Lenore. You're going to sit there and let him get cold and just be on the outside. And I'll tell you what, if I got to throw 15, 16 balls against up in the slot, I am going to do it. So be it. I am going to wear him out like a cheap suit.
Yep. So it's interesting. I mean, there are things you could do instead of. I remember when I was covering the Niners a long time ago. They had Anquan Bolden. He was in the slot. Saleh was on the Seahawks back then. Pete Carroll on third downs. They would usually play zone. They played cover 3 on first and second down. But on third downs, they would take Richard Sherman and they'd put him man-to-man in the slot against Anquan Bolden to deny him the ball. And Sherman had the size and the strength to match up, and he did a great job. It was smart. I wonder if Saleh has that in his back pocket and he's not talking about it. I mean, it'd be a shame to get beat to give up 200 yards and 3 touchdowns to JSN because you couldn't get your, highly paid cornerback over there.
You've got to be able to make adjustments and do what it takes to win the ball game. And if Saleh doesn't make the adjustment, I don't see how the Niners can win. From a defensive perspective, if you can't stop Darnold from making those easy throws in the slot, whether it's a choice route at 8 to 10 yards, whether it's an underneath route, a shallow cross, a mesh concept, or whatever. But yeah, the bottom line is I've got to deny the ball. Okay.
It seems like
I've got to help Stout. I've got to help the young man. I can't leave him out there on an island.
It seems like he's really enamored with Stout because he picked Stout. But I wouldn't be against taking Stout off the field, playing Lenore in the slot, and having Bernardo Green and Darrell Luter Jr. on the outside. I mean, Stout's okay. He's 5'8". He hasn't made any plays this year. He's pretty good against the run. On third down, when you're trying to cover, I'm not against taking him off the field, putting Lenore in the slot. I'm just saying, it's an idea.
No, if you put in the backup corner who's going to have deep thirds, or if I have a 2-deep shell behind them, but I've got to do something demonstrative, make a statement to Seattle, say, I'm not going to allow you to do this to us tonight.
What about this? If Saleh's so married to zone coverage, could you do something like a box and one in basketball where Lenore locks JSN no matter where he goes and you play zone behind it?
You can do that. We used to call it silver for the strong side and white for the weak side, S&W. And you'd lock that guy man-to-man with a silver call or with a white call, and then everyone else would play a 3-deep or behind it. And that way and then if it was a slot guy, you're playing a slot, you're going to be in a Navy call where you're going to nail the guy in the slot with your nickel, and then you're playing a 2-deep shell behind it, and it's almost like a 2-zone, but lock the slot, as opposed to playing cover 2, locking the tight end in most defenses. Well, we're going to play a 2-shell high zone, and we're going to lock the slot receiver. Now, that does create a void, but then your defense will you're going to rush 4, lock 1, and now the other 6 guys are going to measure up with a 2 high and a 4 under scheme off of it.
If you remember, in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, Diamador Lenore said he went into Steve Wilkes' office before the game and said, Steve, I want to play in the slot in this game. Their whole offense operates out of the slot. Put me in there. I want the challenge. Steve said no. And he left Lenore on the outside. He left Chavarius Ward on the outside. And the nickelback in that game was Logan Ryan, who had been retired and was going to retire after that game. And he got absolutely shredded. So, and then Steve Wilkes got fired. I'm not saying Robert Saleh is going to get fired in a couple of weeks, but this is a similar situation. Lenore wants the matchup. They're going to they're going to put JSN in the slot. There's a lot of pressure on Robert Saleh to get this right.
Well, I tell you what, if I'm Seattle, I'm going to test you right off the bat. I'm not going to fiddle around doing something else. I'm going for the jugular right off the bat, and I'm going to find out what kind of adjustments Saleh will be making when I get to 11 personnel and I go into that grouping of a 2x2 with slot on one side and then tight end and then wide out on the other side, and I'm going to look at the deployment of the secondary, and I'm going to say, okay, hey, here's the look you got, bam, here's the play to which we're going, and I'm going to light you up.
I'm just saying, like, Luther Burden just lit up the Niners defense. Luther Burden, who probably a lot of people hadn't heard of. He's a rookie. JSN's a lot better. So the Niners are going to have to do better.